In the year 2147, humanity had finally reached the stars. For decades, scientists and explorers dreamed of finding life beyond Earth. That dream became a reality when a group of astronauts landed on a cold, barren moon orbiting a massive gas giant far from home. The moon was gray and lifeless at first glance, with jagged rocks and deep craters covering its surface. But strange energy readings brought the team there, hinting at something unusual hidden beneath the ground. The leader of the mission was Alex Carter, a calm and practical engineer who always kept his emotions in check. Beside him was Mia Thompson, a biologist known for her kind heart and sharp mind. Together, they led a small crew of scientists and technicians sent to investigate the mysterious signals. The team worked hard, setting up equipment and scanning the area. After hours of searching, their instruments detected something extraordinary, a massive structure buried deep under the rocky surface. Curiosity drove them forward. Using drills and excavation tools, they uncovered the entrance to what looked like an alien facility. It was enormous, with smooth metallic walls that shimmered faintly in the dim light. The air inside felt different, colder and heavier than outside. As they stepped cautiously into the dark corridors, they realized this place wasn't abandoned. Lights flickered on automatically, illuminating the path ahead. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing faintly as if alive. Alex touched one of the symbols, feeling a strange vibration beneath his fingers. "This isn't just technology," he said softly. "It's alive somehow." Mia nodded, her eyes wide with wonder. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Everything about this place screamed intelligence, advanced, otherworldly intelligence. But their exploration didn't last long. Suddenly, loud clicking sounds filled the air. From the shadows emerged towering creatures unlike anything the humans had ever seen. These beings were tall and insect-like, with armored exoskeletons and sharp mandibles. Their eyes glowed bright yellow, piercing through the darkness. They moved quickly, surrounding the humans before anyone could react. One of the creatures stepped forward, larger than the rest. It carried a device that translated its guttural speech into broken but understandable English. "Who are you?" it demanded, its voice harsh and mechanical. Alex raised his hand slowly, trying to show he meant no harm. "We're explorers from Earth," he replied carefully. "We came here because of the energy signals." The creature paused, studying the humans with unreadable expressions. Then, without warning, it barked orders to the others. The humans were grabbed roughly and dragged deeper into the facility. Panic spread among the crew as they struggled against their captors, but resistance was useless. These aliens, later identified as the Vorthak, were much stronger and faster. As they were taken away, Alex noticed two small figures hiding near the entrance. It was Ethan and Lily, siblings who had secretly stowed away on the spaceship. He wanted to call out to them, to warn them to stay hidden, but the Vorthak were watching too closely. For now, all he could do was hope the children would remain safe. Back in the alien stronghold, the humans were locked inside transparent pods that hummed with energy. Fear gripped the crew as they wondered what fate awaited them. Little did they know, their presence, and especially the discovery of the two young stowaways, would spark outrage among the Vorthak. What happened next would change everything for both species. End of Part 1. The humans sat in silence inside their glowing transparent pods. Fear weighed heavily on them as they watched the towering Vorthak move around the facility. Alex Carter tried to stay calm, but his mind raced with questions. What did these aliens want? Why had they been captured so suddenly? And most importantly, where were Ethan and Lily? He hoped the children had managed to stay hidden. Mia Thompson pressed her hands against the smooth surface of her pod, trying to test its strength. It didn't budge. She glanced at Alex, who gave her a small nod of reassurance. Even though they couldn't speak freely, they both knew they had to think of a way out. But before they could act, a loud voice boomed through the chamber. "You imprisoned human kids." The words came from Commander Zixar, the largest and most imposing of the Vorthak. His yellow eyes burned with anger as he addressed the humans. "Are you crazy?" His tone was sharp, almost accusing. The crew stared back in confusion. What was he talking about? Alex hesitated before speaking. "We didn't imprison anyone," he said slowly. "Who are you referring to?" Zixer gestured toward two figures standing near the entrance of the room. It was Ethan and Lily, trembling but unharmed. Two Vorthak guards held them gently by the arms, making sure they didn't run. The sight of the children made Maya's heart sink. They should never have been here, let alone caught by these alien beings. Ethan lifted his chin bravely, trying to look tougher than he felt. "We're not prisoners," he blurted out. "We just followed the ship because we wanted to help." The commander tilted his head, studying the boy carefully. "Children do not belong in such danger," he growled. To the Vorthak, this concept seemed absurd. In their culture, young ones were protected fiercely, and seeing humans treat children so carelessly angered them deeply. For a moment, the room fell silent. Then Zixer turned his attention back to the adults. "Explain yourselves," he demanded. "Why are your young ones here? Why do you allow them to risk their lives?" Alex took a deep breath. "They're not supposed to be here," he admitted. "They stowed away without our knowledge. We only found out recently." He looked at Mia for support, hoping she could add something to ease the tension. Mia stepped closer to the edge of her pod. "Please believe us," she pleaded. "We would never put children in harm's way intentionally. We're just explorers trying to understand your world." Zixer narrowed his glowing eyes, considering their words. For all their advanced technology, the Vorthak weren't used to dealing with outsiders. Their society valued order and discipline above all else, and the presence of reckless humans, especially vulnerable ones like Ethan and Lily, was unsettling. After a long pause, Zixer spoke again. "You will remain confined while we decide what to do with you," he declared. "But the children will not stay in these pods. They deserve better treatment." With that, Ethan and Lily were led away by one of the younger Vorthak warriors, a female named Kralis. Unlike the others, she moved with a softer demeanor, her movements deliberate and careful. She glanced at the children briefly, offering a slight nod that seemed almost comforting. Once the siblings were gone, Alex and Mia exchanged worried looks. "Do you think they'll hurt them?" Mia whispered, her voice barely audible. "I don't know," Alex replied honestly, "but I think Kralis might be different. Maybe there's hope." As the hours passed, the humans remained trapped, unsure of what the future held. Meanwhile, Ethan and Lily found themselves in a smaller, warmer chamber. Kralis brought them food and water, setting it down quietly before retreating to a corner of the room. Though her appearance was intimidating, her actions suggested kindness. Slowly, the children began to relax. "Why is she helping us?" Lily asked softly, clutching her brother's arm. Ethan shrugged, though he felt a flicker of hope. "Maybe not all of them are bad," he said. "Maybe we can trust her." Little did they know, Kralis had plans of her own, plans that might change everything for both humans and Vorthak alike. End of Part 2. Ethan and Lily sat quietly in the small chamber, their eyes fixed on Kralis. The young Vorthak warrior stood silently in the corner, her glowing yellow eyes watching them with a mix of curiosity and caution. She didn't speak, but her movements were calm and deliberate, as if she wanted to show she meant no harm. Slowly, the children began to feel less afraid. Lily was the first to break the silence. "Why are you helping us?" she asked softly, her voice trembling slightly. Kralis tilted her head, as if trying to understand the question better. Then, using a translation device strapped to her arm, she replied in broken English. "You are young, not soldiers, not enemies." Her words surprised Ethan. "So you don't think we're bad?" he asked, his tone more confident now. Kralis made a clicking sound, which might have been laughter. "No, you are lost." She pointed to herself. "I am Kralis, young like you." The siblings exchanged glances. It seemed strange to think of this towering insect-like creature as young, but something about her felt familiar. Maybe it was the way she looked at them, not with anger or suspicion, but with a hint of kindness. Over time, Krallis began to share bits of information about her people. She explained that the Vorthak were warriors by nature, always ready to defend their territory. But not all of them agreed with how the humans were being treated. Some, like Krallis, believed there was another way to handle things, a way that didn't involve fear or violence. One day, while bringing them food, Krallis whispered urgently, "You must listen. There is danger here." Ethan leaned forward. What kind of danger? Krallis glanced over her shoulder to make sure no one else was listening. "A weapon," she said, "deep inside this place. It can destroy worlds." Lily gasped, clutching her brother's hand. Why would they build something like that? Krallis hesitated before answering. For protection. For power. But some of us do not agree. Back in the main chamber, Alex and Mia were still trapped in their pods. They had no idea what was happening with Ethan and Lily, but they couldn't stop thinking about them. Every time a Vorthak guard passed by, Mia tried to catch their attention, hoping for answers. Most ignored her completely, but one of them, a smaller, older-looking Vorthak, finally stopped. "Where are the children?" Maya asked, her voice firm despite her fear. The guard clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "They are safe. Krallis watches them." Alex perked up at the name. "Krallis? Who is she?" "She is different," the guard replied vaguely. "She believes in peace." Mia felt a flicker of hope. If there was someone among the Vorthak who wanted peace, maybe they could find a way out of this mess. She turned to Alex. "We need to talk to them. Explain why we're here." Alex nodded. "But how? They don't trust us." Before they could come up with a plan, the chamber doors opened and Commander Zixar entered. His presence filled the room, and everyone fell silent. He walked straight up to Alex's pod, his glowing eyes piercing. "You claim you mean no harm," Zixar growled. "Yet you bring weapons into our home." "We didn't bring any weapons," Alex protested quickly. "We're explorers, not fighters. We came here to learn, not to attack." Zixar studied him for a long moment. Then he turned to Mia. "And the children? Why did you allow them to follow you?" Mia swallowed hard. "It was an accident. We didn't know they were on the ship until it was too late. But they're just kids. They don't deserve to be punished for our mistakes." Zixar let out a low rumble, almost like a sigh. "Children are precious. Even among your kind I see this. Yet you risked their lives so carelessly." His words struck a chord with Mia. She lowered her head, feeling ashamed. "You're right. We failed them. But we can fix this, if you let us." For a moment, Zixar said nothing. Then he stepped back, signaling to the guards. "Take them to the council chamber. We will decide their fate." As Alex and Mia were led away, they noticed Krallis standing nearby, watching silently. She gave them a slight nod, as if to say, "Trust me." Later that night, Krallis visited Ethan and Lily again. This time, she brought news. "Tomorrow," she said, "there will be a meeting. Your leaders will speak. If they convince the council, you may go free." Ethan frowned. "What if they don't?" Krallis hesitated, then placed a clawed hand gently on his shoulder. "Then I will help you escape. All of you." Her promise gave the children hope, but also fear. Escaping wouldn't be easy, especially with so many Vorthak around. Still, knowing that someone was on their side made them feel a little braver. As the hours ticked by, tensions grew higher. Both humans and Vorthak prepared for the meeting that would determine their future. Little did they know, Krallis' decision to help might spark changes far greater than anyone expected. End of Part 3. The council chamber was a vast, circular room with high ceilings and walls covered in glowing symbols. The air felt heavy, charged with tension. Alex and Mia stood at the center, surrounded by Vorthak warriors who watched them with unblinking eyes. Commander Zixer sat on a raised platform, his presence commanding respect. Behind him, a group of older Vorthek, likely the Council, listened intently as Alex began to speak. "We didn't come here to fight," Alex said, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at him. "We came because we're curious. We want to learn about your people, just like you're learning about us." Mia stepped forward, her tone softer but equally determined. "Our world is full of questions about what's out there. When we found the energy signals, we thought it was a chance to make contact. Not to hurt anyone, but to understand." Zixer tilted his head, considering their words. One of the council members clicked sharply, signaling disagreement. "Your kind has invaded our space," the elder growled. "You bring danger wherever you go." Alex shook his head. "We didn't mean to invade. We didn't even know this place existed until recently. If we caused trouble, it was an accident." Kralis stood near the edge of the chamber, her glowing eyes darting between the humans and the council. She knew this meeting could go either way. If the council decided the humans were a threat, they might never leave this place alive. But if Alex and Mia could convince them otherwise, there was still hope for peace. As the debate continued, Ethan and Lily waited anxiously in their chamber. They couldn't hear what was being said, but they could feel the weight of the moment. Kralis had promised to help if things went badly, but neither child wanted to run away, not without Alex and Mia. Back in the council chamber, Mia took a deep breath and tried a different approach. "What if we worked together?" she suggested. "We could share knowledge, find ways to help each other. Wouldn't that be better than fighting?" Her words seemed to catch the attention of some of the council members. One of them leaned forward, clicking thoughtfully. "Explain this." "Cooperation." Mia glanced at Alex, who nodded encouragingly. "We've already seen how advanced your technology is," she said, "but maybe we can offer something too. Ideas, solutions, new ways of thinking. Together, we could achieve more than either of us could alone." For a long moment, no one spoke. The council members exchanged low clicks and murmurs, debating among themselves. Finally, Zixer stood up, his towering form casting a shadow over the room. "We will consider your words," he announced. "But first, we must ensure you are not lying." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared through the facility. Red lights flashed, and the ground trembled slightly. Kralis rushed into the chamber, her mandibles clicking rapidly. "The weapon," she shouted. "It has been activated." Panic spread through the room. Alex turned to Mia, his face pale. "What's happening?" "It's sabotage," Kralis explained quickly. "Someone wants to destroy this place. And possibly Earth too." Realization dawned on Alex. If the weapon fired, it wouldn't just harm the Vorthek. It could wipe out humanity entirely. There was no time to waste. "We have to stop it," he yelled. Zixer hesitated, then barked orders to his guards. "Release them," he commanded, pointing at Alex and Mia. "If they can help, let them act now." With Kralis leading the way, the group raced through the twisting corridors toward the core chamber where the weapon was stored. Along the way, Kralis explained that the weapon was powered by unstable energy. If it wasn't shut down soon, it would overload and explode, destroying everything within range. Ethan and Lily joined the group halfway, having snuck out of their chamber when the alarm sounded. "We're coming with you," Ethan insisted, his voice firm despite the fear in his eyes. "No time to argue," Alex said, grabbing Lily's hand. "Stick close." When they reached the core chamber, the sight was overwhelming. A massive machine pulsed with chaotic energy, its surface crackling with electricity. The countdown to detonation had already begun. Kralis turned to the humans. "Only someone with technical skill can disable it," she said urgently. "Can you do this?" Alex nodded, though his hands were shaking. "I'll try." Mia stayed by his side, guiding him through the process while Kralis kept watch for any threats. Ethan and Lily held on to each other, praying silently that they wouldn't be too late. Seconds ticked away as Alex worked frantically, his fingers flying over the alien controls. Just as the timer hit 0, the machine sputtered and went dark. The room fell silent, save for the sound of everyone's ragged breathing. "You did it," Krallis whispered, relief washing over her features. But their victory was short-lived. As they prepared to leave, Krallis noticed a faint hum coming from the machine. "It's not over," she said grimly. "The energy is still unstable. We need to evacuate. Now." Without hesitation, the group ran back toward the surface, knowing that every second counted. Behind them, the facility groaned and shook, warning of its impending collapse. For the first time, humans and Vorthek moved as one, united by survival. The ground shook violently as the group raced through the collapsing tunnels. Pieces of the ceiling crumbled, blocking their path at every turn. Dust filled the air, making it hard to breathe. Alex led the way, clutching Lily's hand tightly while Mia stayed close behind with Ethan. Krallis brought up the rear, her sharp eyes scanning for danger and her powerful limbs clearing debris when necessary. "We're not going to make it," Lily cried, tears streaming down her face. Her small legs struggled to keep up with the frantic pace. "Yes, we are," Alex said firmly, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Just a little farther." Behind them, the sound of explosions grew louder. The weapon's unstable energy was tearing the facility apart, and time was running out. Krallis clicked urgently, urging the group to move faster. She knew the exit was near but feared they wouldn't reach it in time. As they turned a corner, a massive chunk of the ceiling collapsed, blocking their path completely. Panic surged through the group. "There's no way through," Mia shouted, her voice trembling. Krallis stepped forward without hesitation. With a mighty roar, she used her clawed arms to dig into the rubble, tossing chunks of rock aside with incredible strength. The humans watched in awe as she worked tirelessly, her glowing eyes fierce with determination. "Hurry!" Zixar's voice echoed from behind them. He had followed the group, unwilling to abandon his people, or the humans who had risked everything to stop the weapon. His presence surprised everyone, especially Krallis, who gave him a questioning look. "There's no time to explain," Zixar growled. "Move." With renewed effort, Krallis cleared a narrow gap just wide enough for the group to squeeze through. One by one, they scrambled past the debris, coughing and gasping for air. Ethan tripped on a loose rock, but Alex quickly pulled him back to his feet. No one was left behind. Finally, they reached the surface. The cold, gray moon stretched out before them, its barren landscape eerily quiet compared to the destruction below. Behind them, the entrance to the facility glowed red-hot as the remaining energy surged uncontrollably. They didn't stop running until they were far enough away to be safe. Exhausted, the group collapsed onto the rocky ground. Breaths came in ragged gasps, and sweat mixed with dust on their faces. For a moment, all anyone could do was stare at the distant facility as it erupted in a final blinding explosion. A shockwave rippled across the surface, sending tremors beneath their feet. Lily clung to Ethan, sobbing softly. "We made it," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the rumbling aftermath. Alex looked around at the others, his heart heavy with gratitude. "We couldn't have done it without Krallis," he said, turning to the young Vorthak warrior. But Krallis wasn't standing beside them. Instead, she stood a few steps away, her posture tense and uncertain. Zixar approached her, his glowing eyes softening slightly. "You disobeyed orders," he said, his tone stern but not unkind. "But you saved us all." Krallis lowered her head. "I did what I thought was right," she replied quietly. "The humans, they aren't our enemies. Not anymore." For a long moment, Zixar said nothing. Then, to everyone's surprise, he placed a clawed hand on Krallis' shoulder. "Perhaps you are wiser than I realized," he admitted. Turning to the humans, he added, "Your actions today have changed my view of your kind. Maybe there is hope for peace after all." Mia wiped tears from her eyes, overwhelmed by the moment. "Thank you," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "We didn't want this to end in destruction, for either of us." Ethan stepped forward hesitantly, his young face filled with admiration. "Krellis, you saved us. You're a hero." Krellis tilted her head, as if puzzled by the word. "I only did what needed to be done," she said simply, but her glowing eyes betrayed a flicker of pride. As the dust settled and the adrenaline faded, both humans and Vorthek began to process what had happened. The facility was gone, along with the dangerous weapon that had threatened them all. In its place stood a fragile bond, a tentative understanding between two very different species. Sixer broke the silence. "This is not the end," he said firmly. "We must learn from this. From now on, we will communicate. No more secrets, no more fear." Alex nodded, feeling a spark of hope despite everything they'd been through. "Agreed. We can build something better together." As the sun, or rather, the distant gas giant, began to rise over the horizon, its light painted the desolate moon in shades of orange and gold. It was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there was always a chance for renewal. And so, under the watchful eyes of their unlikely allies, the humans prepared to return home, carrying with them the memory of Krallis's bravery and the promise of a new beginning. The journey back to Earth was long and quiet. Alex and Mia spent most of the time checking on Ethan and Lily, making sure they were okay after everything they'd been through. The children were exhausted but safe, their spirits lifted by the knowledge that they had helped stop a disaster. Still, the memory of Krallis lingered in all their minds. They couldn't forget her bravery, or the sacrifice she had almost made. When the spaceship finally landed on Earth, news of their mission spread quickly. People gathered at the landing site, eager to hear what had happened. Reporters shouted questions, cameras flashed, and crowds cheered as the crew stepped off the ship. But Alex and Mia didn't feel like heroes. Their thoughts were still with the Vorthek, and especially with Krallis. In the days that followed, the story of the alien encounter dominated headlines. Some people celebrated the idea of peaceful contact with another species, while others worried about future conflicts. Governments held meetings, scientists analyzed data, and ordinary citizens debated whether humanity was ready for life among the stars. For Ethan and Lily, life became both easier and harder. They were reunited with distant relatives who took them in, but the loss of their parents weighed heavily on them. At night, they often talked about Krallis, wondering if she was safe and how the Vorthak were handling the destruction of their facility. "Do you think we'll ever see her again?" Lily asked one evening, clutching a blanket around her shoulders. "I don't know," Ethan replied softly, "but I hope so." Meanwhile, Alex and Mia worked tirelessly to share their experience with the world. They gave interviews, wrote reports, and spoke at conferences, urging humanity to take the lessons of their mission seriously. "We're not alone out there," Alex said during one speech, "and the choices we make now will shape our future, for better or worse." Mia added, "The Vorthak are strong and proud, but they're also capable of compassion. If we approach them with respect and honesty, maybe we can build something good together." Their words inspired many, but not everyone agreed. Some leaders argued that trusting aliens was too risky, while others pushed for stronger defenses in case the Vorthak decided to attack. The debate raged on, dividing communities and governments. Then, months later, an unexpected message arrived. It came through a signal sent from deep space, a communication from the Vorthak. The message was brief but clear. "We wish to meet again, on neutral ground." The announcement shocked the world. Humanity wasn't sure what to expect. Was this a trap, a test, or a genuine attempt at peace? After much discussion, Earth's leaders agreed to accept the invitation. Preparations began for a new mission, one that would bring humans and Vorthek face to face once more. Alex and Mia were chosen to lead the delegation. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but they felt a responsibility to try. Before leaving, They visited Ethan and Lily to say goodbye. "You've already done so much," Alex told them gently. "Stay strong, okay?" Lily hugged him tightly. "Tell Krallis we miss her," she whispered. As the spaceship launched into the sky, carrying its crew toward the unknown, Alex gazed out the window at the stars. He thought about Krallis and the bond they had formed despite their differences. He also thought about Commander Zixar and the other Vorthak who had shown glimpses of understanding. Mia joined him, her expression thoughtful. "Do you think they'll listen this time?" she asked. "I don't know," Alex admitted, "but we have to try. For Earth, for the Vorthak, and for everyone who believes peace is possible." Days later, the humans arrived at the designated meeting point, an empty asteroid floating in the void of space. As their ship docked with the Vorthak vessel, tension filled the air. Would this meeting end in friendship or conflict? When the doors opened, Commander Zixar stood waiting, flanked by several warriors. But standing beside him was someone familiar, Krallis. Her glowing eyes met Alex's, and for a moment, no words were needed. Zixar stepped forward first. "This is a chance for both our peoples," he said solemnly. "Let us not waste it." Alex nodded, feeling a surge of hope. "We're ready." As the two groups came together, the path ahead seemed uncertain but full of possibility. Whatever challenges lay before them, they would face them together, not as enemies, but as partners in a shared future. The meeting on the asteroid was tense but hopeful. Humans and Vorthak sat around a large, circular table made of smooth metal, glowing faintly with alien technology. Alex and Mia represented Earth, their faces calm but their hearts racing. Across from them sat Commander Zixar, his sharp eyes watching every move. Beside him stood Krallis, her presence a quiet reminder of the trust that had begun to grow between the two species. "We are here to talk," Zixar began, his voice deep and steady. "Not to fight." Alex nodded, leaning forward slightly. "We want the same thing, to understand each other." For hours, they discussed their differences and fears. The humans explained how curiosity had driven them to explore space, while the Vorthak shared their history of defending their territory against threats. At times, the conversation grew heated, especially when old wounds were mentioned. But Krallis often stepped in, her calm demeanor helping to ease tensions. "Fear makes us enemies," she said at one point, "but trust can make us allies." Her words resonated with everyone in the room. Slowly, the icy walls between the two groups began to melt. By the end of the meeting, they had agreed on small steps toward cooperation, sharing knowledge, exchanging ambassadors, and setting rules for future contact. Before parting ways, Zixar addressed the humans directly. "This is only the beginning," he said. "There will be challenges, but we must face them together." Mia smiled, feeling a flicker of optimism. "Thank you for giving us this chance." As the humans prepared to leave, Krallis approached them one last time. Her glowing eyes softened as she looked at Ethan and Lily, who had joined the delegation via video link. "You are brave," she told them. "Never forget that." Lily wiped away a tear. "Will we see you again?" she asked quietly. Krallis hesitated before nodding. "Perhaps. Until then, remember what we have built here." Back on Earth, news of the successful meeting spread quickly. People celebrated the possibility of peace, though some remained cautious. Governments worked to establish new programs focused on interstellar diplomacy, and schools taught children about the importance of understanding others, even those who seemed very different. Ethan and Lily found comfort in knowing they had played a role in bringing humanity and the Vorthak closer together. They kept a drawing of Krallis pinned to their bedroom wall, a reminder of the bond they had formed. "She's like a hero," Lily said one night. "A real one." Months turned into years, and communication between Earth and the Vorthak continued to grow stronger. Scientists collaborated on projects, artists exchanged ideas, and ordinary people learned to see the universe in a new way. It wasn't always easy. There were misunderstandings and setbacks, but both sides remained committed to finding common ground.